Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Tammy Pages. I am your host, Tammy Simmons. And what I want to come and talk to you guys about today is about my absence. There was a gap, or there is a gap, from the time that I started this podcast and then to the time now, basically, that I am making episodes. So if you see, the first episode was December 2024. And then nothing until now, July 2025. And in the process, or in the gap, um, basically the month after, so which would have been January 2025, my dad passed away. Now, his passing is actually 4 months after my brother. So my brother passed away September 15th, 2025. Oh, sorry, 2024. Sorry. And then my dad passed away in January 2025. So it was basically 4 months apart from each other. And in the process, it was like crazy because when my brother passed away in September, like I just became a writing person. Like I was writing everything. And I'll talk about my whole writing process in the next episode. But um I was, like, writing like crazy, like nonfiction. I wrote books and everything. And then when my dad passed away, then all of a sudden I got into baking. And I got so far into baking, I was about to make a whole baking business, everything. Like, I did everything until, um, I guess the grief settled or whatever, and next thing I realized that it wasn't for me. I bought all the stuff. I mean, all the stuff. Like I was gonna be the cake. I guess it was like I was making. It's so weird to say it. It was cake mix cookies, and I bought so much cake mix and everything like that. But the thing about it was, it wasn't my time. It really wasn't something that I really wanted to do once it came down to it. Especially like all the laws. Like, the cottage laws that the stipulations that they have for you just to cook or whatever in your own house, like, oh my god, it was just so much. But by the grace of God, I realized it wasn't for me, and, I actually went back to doing music or whatever, and then now I'm basically back to writing. But in the process of all of that, it was a lot. It was a lot to go through. Um, Obviously, losing a brother and a dad so short of time. And the thing about it is, I thought that I had more time with both of them. Like, my brother is my younger brother. Um, and so at the end of the day, like, we had plans. Like, we had plans to see each other again. We was like, we were going out, we were talking about, um, how about the point that we had to see each other again, all these different things. And then even with my dad, like I was praying to God that God would heal my dad, that he would get better. And, I mean, just basically, I think probably like a week or the week of his passing. Like, I was like, God, please restore his health. Like, the stuff that they say in the Bible, all of those things. Like, I know you can restore time, all this stuff, Lord, and all this. And the next thing I know, he passes away. And I'm like, dang, you know what I mean? But sometimes you realize that he did get healing. It's just not in the form or the way that I thought he was going to get healed. But then what God allowed me to see in so many things, because God allowed me to get answers when my brother passed, as well as my dad. And what I realized is that my brother and my dad, they needed peace. The peace that they needed, they were not going to get on this earth. And instead of me being angry at God, upset, all those things, I realized that whatever they were going through, them being on this earth wouldn't have helped them. You know what I mean? But not only that, I started to thank God for the fact that He gave my dad to be my dad and my brother to be my brother. I thank God for the years that I had with them, the memories that I have with them, the connections that we have, even in death. Like, God allowed that not even death stopped my brother from being my brother or protecting me or loving me. I realized that, well, one of the most hurtful things was also realizing that there are two men who loved me the most, who knew me the most, are no longer on this earth. And sometimes you're like, man, like, you know what I mean? There's nobody that could take their places. They knew me. I can be Bubble, that's my nickname. Um, but I could be Bubble around them. It was I was never too much for them. You know what I mean? They were always there. And not to have them on this earth, a lot of times I will honestly say I feel so alone. It is lonely because you feel like no one is there. But in all actuality, I would never ask God to bring them back because I don't have something better than heaven, obviously. You know what I mean? It's like, ask my brother to come back for what? So he can get a job or work and you know what I mean? Or just for the ability for me not to have him anymore. But the thing about it is I don't know what it was like to walk in my brother's shoes. God told my brother that he could have peace, that he would give him rest. Who am I to say, "Oh, come back because I miss you." No, take your rest. God granted that to him. And the same thing with my dad. My dad was telling me that he wanted to be with my brother. There's senior and junior, but he wanted to be with him. He missed him and all these different things. And the thing about it was, he used to tell me in conversations, he was like, "Bubble, I'm tired." And now, as a child or just anytime somebody probably says to you, "Oh, I'm tired," they're tired of life or anything like that, the first thing we go to is, "Oh, it's okay. It's all right." You know what I mean? "You're gonna be fine," or whatever. But I would say, like, in hindsight, really listening to that and maybe not trying to give them the cookie cutter answer because no one wants to have those conversations. My dad did often talk about death, and he was like, Bubba, I know you don't want to talk about this." And I really didn't. But he was basically telling me he didn't have much longer to live. So, huh. But anyway, um, I thank God for the time that I was able to have with them. And I'm grateful that God chose me to have them or be in their lives. Because I could have been in anybody else or whatever, but He allowed me to be in their lives and be what I am to them. And like I said, even in death, it didn't stop them from being my brother and my dad. My brother has seen me, I've seen my brother in dreams. Even I had one dream where my brother was like protecting me. It was so crazy. But even like my dad has been in my dreams and everything. So God didn't stop them or didn't allow them to stop being in my life. And that's something that I'm grateful for. He gave them rest, but he didn't allow them to forget me or me to forget them. And so hopefully that gives somebody some encouragement who may be going through the same thing. God hasn't forgotten about you. The people that you love, yes, they're on the other side, but God gave them better seats to love you, be there for you, and protect you and keep you. So I hope this encourages you. And yeah, I will see you on the next podcast.